Welcome back, everyone, to the SLTV StarSeries Hearthstone Season 1 LAN Finals. With me, Aquablad, still for the casting. We're just done with Ties versus Kolento. Very, very close series between these two.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, Kolento almost had it, but Tides was able to stabilize with that Cog Hammer and that Mysterious Challenger. And after that, it was just game over. But Kolento now moves on to the lower bracket with Stancifka, which will be our next game. So we won't be continuing with the winner's bracket just yet. Orange and Ties have a bit of
for
time.
the end. Just a little bit of suspense. It's going to be played after this one.
Yeah, so, you know, we're going to see who's going to be able to face one of those guys, the winners of these two. So whoever loses is out.
Yeah.
That is it. Their tournament life is over.
Really big match. I mean, they both had to fight in the tiebreaker. Actually, they faced off each other in the tiebreaker yesterday, and they, Stancifka got a 3-0, but Kolento was still able to go in. But now they're back in a position where they're going to eliminate each other, and Kolento wants to go in. I mean, we talked about this, but this is live from Kiev. It's his hometown. Well, not hometown, but home country at least. So
yeah, you always want to win on your home soil,
Yeah.
Give it to the fans. He has a lot of fans here, actually. A lot of people want to take photos with him and meet him. So to please the crowd, you know, you need to win. And Kolento actually beat Stancifka 3-2 on the first day. It was the last match of the first day in the round robin. And then Kolento lost 0-3 to Stancifka during the tiebreaker. So these guys are kind of 1-all.
They've played it a lot, so they know each other's decks pretty much by heart at this point. And Stancifka, I mean, he got a very convincing victory in the tiebreaker with a 3-0. But, repeating that, I mean, it's not something you can consistently get, especially against a player of the caliber of Kolento, who's been around for a while. He knows, when he's got perfect information about your deck, it's a lot easier to play around it. We're just going to have to hope that Stancifka is able to pilot his decks as well as he did last time, and also maybe dodge some of the very big power cards that Kolento has.
One thing that's curious for me is if Kolento will ban something different. After losing 3-0 to Stancifka, does he feel maybe he can handle this Freeze Mage hybrid that Stancifka's brought? Because it's not your typical Freeze Mage. It's running duplicates, it's running Sludge Belchers, it's running Heal Bots. So he may feel he can handle that. Otherwise, he might have to just ban the Mage again like everyone's been doing since Stancifka revealed the deck in his first game. Everyone's like, right, we don't want to play that deck. Stancifka will just go with his general game plan, I think. Ban the Hunter, go forward from there.
Yeah, I think overall the Mage has, it's got a very big advantage over something like Secret Paladin. The Zoo is definitely something you can farm in the current metagame. It's got enough defensive potential to hold out against a Hunter, definitely. So I don't think overall Stan's choice of bringing the Mage was a bad one. In fact, it may be too good to the point where everybody wants to get it out of the way. However, his handlock, we've talked about this. It's a deck that's very difficult to play, and it's also sometimes very volatile. And Kolento's got, a Hunter. It's going to get bad. And maybe then it will, maybe make the matchup a lot easier for Stan.
When we were talking about the metagames, because the metagame has evolved from this format itself with the ban, before handlock was good, we had slower decks, Patron, Druid, it can handle those, but now in a metagame where there's lots of aggressive decks, this handlock has really been struggling. It's been Stancifka's weakest deck, I think, not because he played it poorly, but it's just fallen short. It's not finding to sustain it needs to be able to deal with these super aggressive Paladin decks, Mage decks, and Hunter decks, which is the three classes which are the most popular in this format so far. We've got Paladin, Secret Paladin, mid-range or aggro variants, the Hybrid Hunter and the Face Hunter from Kolento, and then we have the Tempo Mage, which has a few variations.
Right. Well, luckily for him, at least, Kolento has the Patron Warrior, and that was Stancifka's golden ticket, I think, to the finals. If he ever got there, he thought to himself, I'm going to let that deck pass. I don't really mind playing against it. In fact, my lineup is basically made to beat the deck. So he's got the Handlock, which is known to be a good matchup, even though it does lose once in a while, of course. Warrior, the control variant, will also have the advantage over Patron, and so does Druid. So Stancifka's well equipped to handle the Patron from Kolento, but it doesn't always work out that way.
I mean, that Patron's got a big crosshair on it, and Stancifka is going to be hoping he queues into that as soon as possible and just get those wins. When he loses to that Patron Warrior, and if he loses, it becomes a lot tougher for him to win the series. But if he can just hold off that Patron Warrior, that will be the key to his victory. Kolento, on the other hand, is just going to play his decks and hopefully just smash them all.
Yeah, I mean, make sure your Patron gets a win, then play the rest. Everything's going to go fine. He's playing the Secret Paladin to start off the match, and Stancifka's got his Druid. I mean, he already got the Wild Growth, the Aspirant. He's on the coin. The Hearthstone drones to answer something like a Muster for battle while giving you card draw. be careful. Divine Favors around. That's something you also want to be very cautious with. Otherwise, I feel like Stancifka's hand is looking pretty solid.
Oh, that's pretty amazing, actually. He's got everything. He's got ramp, he's got weapon removal, he's got creature removal. He's got everything he needs to stabilize against someone like an aggressive Paladin deck. On the other hand, Kolento does find a shielded minibot, a very important minion on turn 2, and of course, Mist of a Battle on turn 3 can really swing the board in your favor. Swipe is something Stancifka will want to see in the upcoming draws, and Harrison Jones might be the card that helps him find that.
Yeah, Coghammer gets dealt with. The Muster for Battle gets dealt with. You can remove a True Starter champion. We know Kolento is running at least a single copy of Divine Favor, which if Stancifka doesn't empty his hand fast enough, that could really just backfire. We've seen that happen recently. Yesterday there was a match where somebody just got double Divine Favor against a Druid who played Ancients of Lore. I believe Orange was the one with the Ancients, and Dog just abused that.
Yeah, Divine Favor is super powerful against decks that have a lot of card draw, like Druid, like Handlock, 2 decks that Stancifka is running. So the Aspirant comes down, Swipe finds its way to his hand. That's going to be super useful in the upcoming turn, especially when this Muster of a Battle comes. The secret down is Avenge, if I believe.
It is Avenge, but Stancifka is going to be worried about Redemption. So I'm not going to use my hero power ever to pop the shield and try, because if I do that, then I'm going to get very severely punished. It would be good in the case of a Noble Sacrifice, because you could kill it immediately with your hero power, but you would still be exposed to Muster and the mini-bot killing your 2-3. So overall, the play that he took was definitely a safe one, and with the Swipe pickup, he puts himself in a really good spot.
Aspirant did its job then, holding him off long enough to be able to pop that Wild Growth, and now he has a beautiful turn 4 play there with the Swipe, being able to clear up all the minions, not even activating the Avenge.
I mean, the Swipe into Harrison Jones, that gives him, it should be 2 cards from the Last Justice. I assume Kolento will be using up the durability on this thing for now. Unfortunately, he's going to be running into a little bit of a pickle here with the Shredder.
That's such a good draw for Kolento there, finding the Shredder on the top. He would have had shielding minibot hero power, which was not too bad as well, because it can activate Avenge. Do you think we're going to see a Harrison here? Or are we going to see Innovate Ancient of Lore?
I was going to say, Innovate Ancient of Lore does look very appealing. I mean, Stancifka knows it's not Repentance, because he would have had his Aspirant brought down to 1 health, so he's got information. He could play the Ancient of Lore.
Harrison Jones gets traded in by the Shredder, right?
Yeah.
And you draw 2 cards from removing the weapon. You play Ancient of Lore, the weapon in the Shredder trades into the Ancient of Lore as well, but you don't use the Harrison effect, so we could save that for later. So there's a potential of just playing Ancient of Lore here. You get 2 cards anyway. You force him to maybe tank 5 damage to the face, but it looks like he believes Harrison Jones is the right way here. Saving that Innovate for something a little bit later.
I don't disagree. I mean, what I like about that play, of course, is it forces Kolento to get rid of his Shredder himself, which means there's not going to be any redemption shenanigans ever. The event will not trigger when you dictate it, and you can also use your Keeper of the Grove to silence off the buff later on. So Stancifka here is basically forcing off the trade for Kolento, and by doing this, he's actually putting himself in a position where he can use the Ancient of Lore on the following turn if he wants to, emptying his hand as well for the Divine Favor.
You know, drawing more cards as well, setting up for that Forest Sun. Kolento is very secret clogged here. Double Noble Sacrifice. You don't want both of them. One of them's not too bad. Redemption as well. Shielded Minibot. You might be able to empty his hand with a few secrets here, but he's going to have to be... It's really tough for Kolento, actually, I think, with his hand. He hasn't found anything that dynamic so far. He definitely needs a Mysterious Challenger or a Dr. Boom coming up.
I feel like all the cards he's getting are not bad in and of themselves, but the synergy is not there the way that Challenger would allow you to. You would be able to exploit a lot of small minions if you had all those secrets. Right now, Stancifka is not under a lot of pressure. There is pressure, but unless Kolento has the Challenger, it doesn't do much.
Dr. Boom. So you can draw cards of Ancient of Lore, or you can slam a powerhouse like Dr. Boom down. Those boom bots will help clear up this board that Kolento's developed. And with 2 secrets just sitting in hand, oh, he finds the Shredder. That's not too bad, but yeah, it might have been troublesome if Kolento maybe picked up another secret he didn't need.
I mean, well, yeah, that's definitely true. What's really worrisome, I guess, if you're in Kolento's shoes is, well, I mean, even if I deal with this Dr. Boom, the 1/1s can just clear up my board. He was speaking about that in the interview. You know, the Boom bots can on their own just wipe the board, and that's enough to turn the game around. Stancifka doesn't need any more than what he's already got. He's having to play around stuff that's not there yet, but with the Boom bots, he can trigger the Noble Sacrifice, trigger the Redemption, trigger the Avenge, use Keeper of the Grove to silence off the buff. If that goes on the Shredder or the Mini bot, devastating blow. So we'll see exactly what happens with those Boom bots. They can be very impactful.
Oh, 1 damage on the King's Elk there. Hits the mini bot, which is a brilliant target here for this Keeper of the Grove. Redemption comes back up a 2-1. Not what you want to find with a Redemption, especially when you got stuff like Shredder and the Shielded mini bot, which could be targeted. But unfortunately, that Boom bot did a lot of work. Look what it did on its own.
So if you look at the Keeper of the Grove here, silencing of the, either the Shredder or the mini bot. I assume the mini bot will be the target. You can trade away the Boom bot into the Elec, see where things go, use the Dr. Boom afterwards to trade into whatever's left. I think Stancifka is in an amazing spot.
He still has a hero power as well to clear up one of the 2-1s. Probably, nope, not that 2-1, he's down. Maybe the 1-1 now. Looking really good.
I have to wonder if hero powering first would not have been the better outcome, unless he just goes full face. Yeah, killing the 1-1 first seems to me like it would have been maybe a little bit better. Not by much. Slight misplay, but nothing
Again,
major.
Kolento finding these secrets. They are just not helpful at all. He's got 2 good targets for the Redemption now, which is great, but Noble Sacrifice is going to make that Redemption a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, you could have opted not to play the Noble Sacrifice, but I feel like if you want to play the 1-1, which means you're optimizing the development of the board, and you're not playing the secret that you have or the Noble Sacrifice, you're also telling Stancifka what you're holding on to, the Redemption. That's not exactly something very good. So Kolento banking on Divine Favor, banking on the Mysterious Challenger to get him out of this. It's not over, but it's very difficult for him.
Nothing to consider for Kolento as well, playing that Noble Sacrifice. It is combo time for Stancifka potentially, so he'd have to set up that Noble Sacrifice at least to be able to tank something. But I wouldn't have made any difference if he did have the Force Nature Savage Roar. It's just looking really bleak for Kolento. I don't know how he's going to pull back. Is a Challenger enough at this point?
I feel like if you're very aggressive, you're going to just die to the big minions that Stancifka is dropping on the board.
Yeah, you can't play the trading game either because there's just too many good minions in Stancifka's hand. Haunted Creeper is such a withdrawer as well.
Alright, so Direwolf Alpha or Flametongue Totem off of the Bowded Shredder would give him what it takes to clear up the board, if I'm not mistaken. Enough to win the game, I'm not too sure, but it's going to give... Oh, he can please kill everything. That is absolutely terrible. Kolento with a little smile on his face gets out of the way, gives the win to Stancifka. It's alright.
So the Druid beats the Paladin, one of the worst matchups for the Druid, so Stancifka must be really happy with just getting the Druid off the table now. He doesn't need to worry about lining up into the bad matchup with Tempo Mage, or even, there's a Patron Warrior. No, he has a Patron Warrior, that's not too bad. So yeah, at least he's not having to face the Tempo Mage without Druid. And now we can queue in his Handlock or his Control Warrior. What would you like to see from him here?
I think overall it doesn't really matter. As long as there's a patron left in the lineup, whatever you lose with does not matter, right? The tiebreaker is not coming into effect at this point. You're really just trying to get the win. I guess maybe the handlock, if you want to face off against something like the Zoo, is a good play. I mean, you can definitely find a way to make it work.
Looks like Control Warrior is coming back down. We've seen Stancifka do some incredible things with this Warrior. So much patience, which has paid off for him. Scaling up to 80 armor. I'm really impressed overall. If one deck has impressed me the most this stand, it's this deck. Yeah,
the Control Warrior seems to have been the most consistent one he had. I think the Double Brawl is what works very well in the metagame. As much as his handlock may not be tuned or fine-tuned against an aggressive metagame, the Warrior deck definitely is. With the Double Brawl, I mean, he was prepared to deal with Patron, which was his goal initially, and he's also helping out against something like Handlock that he thought would be there, but it's also amazing against all those board-centric decks that are coming out. It doesn't necessarily guarantee a win, but it gives him the versatility that's needed to actually fight off against those guys.
You actually find some really good stuff as well. Armor Smith will be able to contest some of the 1-1, some of the lower drops. Deathspite, of course, does a lot of work against the Paladin. That whirlwind effect, clearing up like muster for battle. Haunted Creeper, Spiders.
Yep.
What about Kolento's hand? It doesn't look too bad either, actually. He's got a bit of a curve going on for free. He's got a Paladin Shredder if he needs one. He can buff 2 Secret Keepers up with the Redemption on 2, same as Coin then if he needs to. And then turn free Shredder, turn free True Silver champion if he wants. But Slam's just going to come down, dealing with this Secret Keeper. I like that from Stancifka. He knows, I just don't want to deal with anything. I'm just going to remove stuff as it comes, play super reactive, and eventually I'll get to a point where my minions are just too powerful for you to deal with.
Yeah, what's interesting from Kolento as well is that by seeing the Slam, he knows there is no Fiery War Axe. And so he's like, you know, I can put Redemption down right now. There's no way, or very little chance at least, that Stancifka will kill my second Secret Keeper with the War Axe and punish me for doing so. And meanwhile, I can coin on turn 3 the Shredder, give myself a good redemption target, maybe scare Stancifka into playing around Avenge, and then things will get a little interesting there because based on what Stancifka thinks is there, whatever he kills will be different.
So Armor Smith here will be able to challenge a Noble Sacrifice if one is down. Of course, Stancifka doesn't know what secrets here. Kolento now has the coin available to him, so he could True Silver champion, he could kill this Armor Smith if he feels there's enough of a threat, or he could just develop his Paladin Shredder.
So there's maybe a good argument for playing the True Silver here just to remove the Armor Smith. The reasoning is, if you play, you know, if there's a Death Spy that comes out on 4, we know there's no Fiery War Axe, so maybe that's the only weapon that Stan found. Then the Shredder coming out after the Axe will mean that the Death Rattle will trigger after the AoE, and thus you will maybe get to keep the 2-drop that comes out of it. So maybe Kolento is considering this. It also lets him deal with the Armor Smith right now, denying Stancifka the ability to check for Noble Sacrifice with the 1-4, and maybe scaring Stancifka into thinking that it is in fact a Noble Sac.
And the True Silver champion also gives him the weapon for the following turn as well, so we're set up ready in case anything else comes down, which the weapon can deal with. And the Shredder can might be able to be protected by the True Silver champion, whereas this Secret Keeper, even if it gets removed, at least he's got something coming up.
Yeah, I mean, if the Secret Keeper dies here, right? If Stancifka goes for the Death Bite, kills it, it's on 1 health. It's not amazing. Let's just be honest here. It's not going to be something that you like, but at least you get to play your Paladin Shredder, and it won't die to the AoE. Sure, the Secret Keeper is dead here to the AoE from the Death Bite, but I think overall it's perfectly fine.
There is a Divine Favor, so Kolento, I haven't seen Kolento draw that card a lot in his games.
Yeah, he only runs the 1, I believe.
Whereas Dog was running 2, like you said, so he had more chance of obviously drawing it. So Shredder comes down, going to get cleared up by this Death Spite. Let's see what it brings out.
A Fallen Hero, I guess those are... I mean, you can I guess you can throw the 1-1s at the enemy's face, right? You just catapult them over.
Does that mean if the 1-1 attacks, it does 2 damage?
That would be amazing, but no, unfortunately, that's not what it does. I'd like to see that, though. You know, just like a catapult. It is actually on the map. You just put those guys in the bottom right corner, launch them, 2 damage to the face. I'm down.
A 3-2 is a good body, though, so at least he gets something half decent. He could have got a Captain's Parrot, which would have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it's a bit more aggression than what he might have anticipated. And now Kolento, though, does get the opportunity to play the Juggler if he wants to. Juggler, Divine Favor draws him a substantial amount of cards. He's going to be getting 3 cards from this. He could also just go for Juggler, Redemption, Hero Power, right? That fills up the board a lot, right? In the case of a Brawl, whatever was on the board first will come back to life. In this case, the 3-2 would be what comes back. And if a 3-2 comes back as a 3-1, I think you're overall fairly happy with this, and there's a chance it lives, and then the Juggler comes back.
Yeah, I like this. I prefer this over the Divine Favor simply because if you do bait out the Brawl, you get a bit of insurance off it, but not only that, the Divine Favor might find some more value and find some more cards as Stancifka digs deeper into his deck. Harrison Jones.
Wow, all right. Unfortunately, I think Stancifka would get a little bit of a tempo loss from doing so, but if he's playing a little bit greedy, which maybe he will want to do, that's maybe just perfect because you play the Harrison Jones now. Maybe Kolento overextends with a Mysterious Challenger, giving your Brawl even more value. So we'll have to see.
Shield Maiden could be an option if he feels like he's under a threat. He gets a 5-5, he gets some health back. Maybe just even a Death Spite here. Just clear up the Knife Juggler. You'll be able to clear up the 1-1 and the dude. But of course, Redemption is down. So he'll get the Knife Juggler back and there'll be more pressure on his life going in the future turn. But it will be cleared up with a Death Bite in the following turn. So there's a lot to analyze.
What's good about the Death Bite is that you can weave in 2 more hero powers because you can use it now, and then on the following turn with a Brawl, or maybe with a Harrison Jones you can do that. I wonder if he's going to opt for the Execute, or if he's just going to wait for the AoE from Death Bite to take care of this guy.
I think he can be patient.
I think he is.
With Shield Maiden, he gets 5 health back and a 5-5 body soon. Ooh, Muster not really going to do a lot
it's
here.
a lot of damage though, right? You go for Muster for battle after using your Choose Over Champion. Oh man, Stancifka's going to have a field day if that happens though. Kolento not liking this, I don't think.
I don't think you should go for Muster as much as the damage
Actually,
it is.
I actually don't mind it too much. It's all right, but it's not top tier play.
Divine Favor. Argent Squire. Avenger.
Wow, that's surprisingly
nice.
good, actually.
Because when these minions die to the Death Spite, Avenger is going to proc on the Divine Squire, the Argent Squire, sorry, because it's going to stay alive. Divine Shield is going to protect it. Interesting.
Now Stancifka has to be pulling the trigger, I think, on that Brawl, because he's getting the ability to armor on the back of it. He's going to have to check for what's on the board. I mean, the Death Bite acts as a Brawl in this case. It kills everything besides maybe one minion, the one that gets avenged, in this case the 1/1. There's really no way for him to kill it. The Belcher does stop it, though.
Yeah, the Belcher will hold it back at least a little while.
Oh, that's right. Event triggers first.
Oh,
I
right.
forgot about that. That's exactly
Man.
true. The Death Rattle would trigger before... I mean, the secret kind of halts the Death Rattle and then goes back to play it. Stancifka will abuse the Execute and kill the 1/1 with it. Buffed up 1/1 is worth executing.
Oh yeah, for sure. So he executes that, leaves the 1/1 on board, removes the weapon as well. He's just seen Divine Favor, so he's not worried about that anymore. And if he'd gone for the Belcher, having the True Silver kind of sitting around as well was just too much of a threat. Belcher wouldn't have had as much value. At least here, although he's on 13 health, not a lot of burst generally comes from a Paladin unless it's Blessing of Kings. But the boom's going to come down right now. Not too bad for Stan since he does have the Big Game Hunter. And it is turn 8, so he could potentially even Big Game Hunter Sludge Belcher as well.
I think Stancifka's got multiple avenues of play here. I mean, we're talking about the Brawl. It's one thing that he still hasn't played, understandably. So he's going to remove a Boombot, take 3 damage in the process. Not a great outcome, but he's safe. He's got the BGH, he's got the Belcher, he keeps the board, and Kolento is going to have to go through this in order to punch through for the lethal damage later on.
So Blessing of Kings is a good answer to this Belcher.
Yeah, with Muster for Battle, you can use the other 1/1 to finish off the Slime, and maybe the Boombot will kill whatever's left on the board. I mean, maybe the 5/3, maybe the 4/2, or go face. That also works.
But that Execute does line up very nicely to what the damage minion from the Blessing of Kings.
Reporting for duty.
Alright, so he chucks on the 5/5, the 1/1 making it into the 5/5. Because the Boombot, you want it to die, right? You want it to hit one of these other targets. If you hit this first as well, which is nice sequencing, making sure that Boombot doesn't hit the Slime. It doesn't hit anything. Well, it takes a bit of 3 though, 6 though.
I mean, I think right now Kolento would have rather had the 5/3 Harrison Jones or the BGH be killed by the Boombot, but ultimately, he's kind of okay here. Stancifka, he does have answers, however, he's able to go through the Noble Sacrifice if he wants to. He's got the ability to Shield Slam and Execute if things go very, very wrong. He's going to have to check for Noble Sac with the 5/3 first.
Jessica's a good pickup for the future. If there is a future in store for him, I mean, he's quite low, but...
Looks like he's got one, though.
On 10, though, he can play he can armor up Jessica and then armor up again, and then that hero power is going to be very devastating to Kolento because he'll probably be able to out-heal a lot of the damage input coming from the Paladin.
I mean, I think Stancifka's in a brilliant spot right now. He can use the Justicar, he can armor up for 4, Shield Slam the 5/2. He's got all the board in the world. Kolento has to find a Consecration to handle this very nicely. Other than that, though, Kolento maybe pushes face for, maximum damage output. He's got 3 on board. He needs to find a hell of a lot more.
And again, the Haunted Creeper finds its way to his hand at a time that he doesn't need it. He definitely needs the Mysterious Challenger. But the Boom's already been dealt with. Have we seen Tyrion from Kolento?
I don't think I've seen the card yet. He seems to be playing maybe a bit of a faster version. I mean, it would be weird not to have it, but I guess you can build a deck in many different ways.
Can Kolento find enough damage to punch through 4 armor per turn while dealing with all the threat Stancifka
I don't
drops?
think so. That's a lot of armor. I mean, that's 4 armor a turn. That's a Shredder hit mitigated every single time. And as long as you can remove your stuff, you're never going through.
Time and time again, Stancifka in this tournament has managed to find that Justica and managed to basically hold out and stop the game, stop his opponent in their tracks from actually killing him.
I think the Justicar True Heart is the single best card that's ever been printed in favor of Stancifka. And now look at that Brawl! He gets a board filled up with 1/1s.
He can pop the Creeper here, Brawl, and then a 1/1 will show up, War Axe, armor up.
Yeah, and here he could armor up all day, every day, and probably get away with it. The only thing that could go awfully wrong is some kind of Tyrion play, and it would, in fact, be a big problem. But other than that, he's well on his way to stabilize. Kolento, if he finds a Mysterious Challenger, the best he does in this case is there's no removal, and you're able to actually keep it alive.
Problem is, though, if he does find a mysterious challenger, Shield Slam will be able to take it out, Weapon will be able to hit it after, and then Shield Maiden heals him back up.
Yeah, it mitigates the damage that a challenger deals, which means Stancifka is again in a very good position. I'm wondering what Kolento could have in his deck left that's going to, you know, propel him forward even further.
I think you need to clear this up for sure. I mean, removing the minions, I think you should clear it, because in case of just Blessing the Kings, I mean, I know you can Shield Slam it, but you've got the War Axe, you might as well use it.
I feel I understand where he's going from. Like, if I have to deal with a challenger, maybe I'm going to need 2 of my weapon charges right now. I don't think the 1-1 is that big of a threat. But we've seen what 1-1s do when they start to mass up.
Acolyte of Pain.
Well, that's a very good curve. Now, let's just hope there's no Zap-O-Matic here. He's going to have to use his Shield Slam on a 2-drop, and he doesn't want to, I'm pretty sure.
Alright, so can Kolento find something
Stealth
worth
minion, Facial Assassin. Oh, wow. That does nothing.
That actually doesn't interact with the Paladin well at all. Clearing his own
Do you want to play Blessing of Kings? I think not.
Now he needs to analyze if he does need to remove it. It's the 3 damage. I mean, he's got 6 damage per turn at the moment with what he currently has. Develops a Shield Maiden and armor up. I mean, then Kolento has to deal with a 5/5, so he may be able to keep a hold of this weapon and we find a better target for it.
Yeah, I think Stancifka's in a great spot. If he plays the, I was going to say the Acolyte of Pain without Shield Maiden, he gets himself even more card draw. Just because those 1-1s, unless they get buffed, will be able to feed him like all the cards he wants. Kolento's got no choice but to go in and hope that nothing wrong happens. There is a Baron Geddon in Stancifka's deck as well. Not something you want to see if you're Kolento.
2 cards a turn for Stancifka at the moment with the Acolyte of Pain. Interact with these 1-1s so well. Let's see what he finds first. Big Game Hunter, so that's an answer to a Mysterious Challenger when it shows up if the board is clear. Second, an Armor Smith as well, more health, and another minion that deals with 1-1s very efficiently.
Yeah, Justicar Trueheart, really we haven't spoken about it too much, but it's been it's kind of the unsung hero of Stancifka's Warrior, because every single time he's found it, that's what allowed him to play the game very slowly and very patiently, whereas without Justicar, I feel like a lot of those games might have gone differently. He might have felt less safe over a long period of time, maybe had to play more, you know, go all in faster with some of those brawls, but with Justicar, you can sit back, relax, and not have to worry too much.
And Stancifka likes playing these slow games, so this just plays into his playstyle really nicely. You know, getting all this... what does Kolento do here?
I mean, you play stuff, you
and just hope for the best.
And you play more stuff.
Make dudes. That's about it. He has to clear the Acolyte of Pain now. Giving him more armor, giving him 1 more card draw. Brawl!
Another
again.
answer!
Answers for days.
I sense the soul in search of answers.
6 health. That's how much health he had before this armor nonsense started happening.
Nonsense is the right word.
Dr. Boom, what a good pickup for him. Eventually come down. Axe is going to be able to clear up that nice unless it hits that guy.
Perfect outcome here for Kolento, but still.
Trade the 5/5 in.
It still doesn't mean he's any far ahead. It's the best outcome, but it's still not changing the bigger picture of this game so far.
Actually, he doesn't need to, does he? He's got so much health now. He can just put pressure up. Yeah, just put pressure on himself. And Stancifka gets into these spots quite often, I find, when he plays these matches. He gets to the point where he feels so comfortable that he'll never die, and then he starts using these 5/5s, these big minions to put on aggression himself, and Repentance. This has to be a concede from Kolento. 2-0 for Stancifka so far.
What is going on? He is tearing through the competition. I blame the fruit.
He's got an advantage, getting all that potassium, all that brain power. Look at him.
Oh, look at that.
Doing Mukla pride there.
He's actually Mukla.
He is Mukla.
Yeah. Stance of King.
King of the bananas. So handlock remains for Stancifka. This could be a repeat of yesterday's game.
It's looking like that. There's a patron left in Kolento's side. I mean, he may want to try out other decks, right, before he goes on the patron. But knowing Kolento, he's not the type of player that hangs on by a thread and just tries to get the best matchups first, because it doesn't matter. There's only one deck to go through. Kolento knows that it doesn't matter what I queue up here. I have to win with everything. Might as well play anything I want. If the patron, which is my worst matchup, wins, then maybe I stand a chance. Otherwise, let's get done with this and go down to the next match, which actually is no next match.
This is Kolento's tournament life on the line. This game could decide whether Kolento goes home with 4th place or continues his journey in this tournament. Stancifka is so close to moving on and facing potentially orange or ties.
Yeah, I mean, the Emperor Thorson is a card that Kolento's got to be happy to see. I mean, it's going to be probably a long game. You still need to dodge those Drakes. You need to dodge those Giants, right? It's very dangerous. But Stancifka is playing a Demon Handlock variant. And Demon Handlock, sometimes, you know, you'll see Void Callers just be used as a big threat. And in this case, with Mal'Ganis being picked up right off the bat, that Void Caller is looking as good as it can get.
Wow, Void Caller, such an impactful card. I mean, it swings things so heavily sometimes if you hit stuff like Mal'Ganis and Doomguard. Has the Forest as well, has a Molten Giant. You know, Stancifka has some good options, but the one thing he's missing, which is kind of a routine for his handlock at the moment, is Taunt Activators.
Yeah, I mean, if Kolento gets himself a really solid... I mean, right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see... you know, Kolento just try to wait until he finds all his options to go for Thorson or play the Tempo Frothing. He's done that every single time I see him play. Play Frothing, force the Warlock to have a play that counters it, and otherwise chip away at his health until you can get a combo later on.
Frothing, one Frothing is generally enough to finish off a handlock with the combo, so playing it for Tempo here is good. He tells Stancifka you need an answer now. He does have coin into Void Caller, but that doesn't actually kill the Frothing, so Twilight Drake
does bring out the Mal'Ganis though, right?
That's true. But maybe Drake's just a little bit better here, because it does take out the Frothing, and he's not in any rush to get Mal'Ganis right now.
Right, there's no hurry to get it. It's just a matter of how much he values it, because, I mean, I guess if you get, the earlier you get a Mal'Ganis, the earlier you're, like, the more you're likely, I guess, to get the Execute. The first Execute would be kept for Mal'Ganis or used on it. If you play the Drake and the Execute falls, then so be it.
But Mal'Ganis sits quite healthy then. You can find another way to deal with it. So coin Drake?
Probably. It trades with the Frothing, forces Kolento to have, as you said, the removal for it, and it's going to trade otherwise.
He already has a Fiery War Axe equipped, so if he wants to chuck on a Death Spite, start chipping away at this Twilight Drake, he's going to lose a charge. But he does have to slam, so we can go forward from here. He gets to buff his Frothing by 1.
Couldn't he just kill the Drake in any way? Not right now. Not without losing his Frothing, that's for sure. Alright, I like that play. You force the Drake to trade away. Stancifka might just go for the Iron Beak Owl here, though.
Yeah, Iron Beak Owl would be great. Gets to keep his Drake alive, but on 1 health, is it really worth keeping?
Considering the warrior does not want to use a Whirlwind on a measly Drake just yet, I think it might be. I mean, you're taking away a Whirlwind effect. If he wants to use one of those here, then you're forcing that. Worst case scenario, Ghoul comes out before the Patrons are out, before the Frothing's ready. So definitely something to consider. I'm not sure it's necessarily the best play. Maybe Void Caller is strictly better. Yeah, I think it's something to consider. Maybe just a trade Void Caller. You know, just.
I wonder how much Owl value the Owl find hitting a Forsen, because I have seen Stancifka struggle with dealing with Forsen sometimes. I think there was a game where multiple ticks went off with his handlock, which he just couldn't deal with. He had no answer to it.
That's a great point, actually. I think the fact that no direct answer to Thorson are present in his hand might change his line of play, but no, it doesn't. He wants to keep that Drake alive. Now, to keep in mind one thing. Yes, he doesn't have an answer to Thorson in the form of a Siphon Soul or anything along those lines, but he does have an answer to Thorson in the form of these two guys, right? Assuming they live. So he's still forcing Kolento in a position of having to deal with 1 health minions and surrendering the Whirlwind effects.
Unstable Ghoul actually lines up quite nicely.
Right.
Instead of having to use a Raw Whirlwind, which have a lot more value to Kolento.
What if there's a definitive Argus, though? The owl gets buffed, it kills the Ghoul, and then the 4-1 becomes a 5-1, and you're back to square one. So
the Drake lives on, right?
Right, exactly.
But Whirlwind's going to come down, he develops a Death Spite here.
That's a very aggressive push from Kolento here, already in the game. You know, he's getting the Death Spite set up. It's kind of interesting to see how fast this game could escalate if Kolento picks up, say, a Frothing Berserker, because he already has Thorson with the War Song and the Ghoul.
I bet Stancifka is a bit reassured that he has at least a Sun Fury Protector in hand. So many times he's just not had any taunt enablers, but Sun Fury Protector will definitely help out. First Giant comes down for Stancifka. He's going to say to Kolento, do you have an answer to this guy? And Death Spite alone is not going to be it. He's going to have to swing into it twice. No executes either. So if Forson does come down, the Giant will be able to deal with it quite nicely.
Yeah, I was going to say, the problem with the Giant right now is not so much it's an 8-8, it's the fact that the moment it gets taunted up, that's the issue. You have no execute, and you have absolutely no way to power through the big taunt minion. So
Speaking of powering up, Stancifka takes a big bite of that banana now.
I wonder how many he's got next to him, right? He's like just chugging them one after the other.
He's like the healthiest gamer I've ever seen.
Well, did you know that carbohydrates were the fuel of the brain for the most part? That's pretty much it. That's
He knows the
exactly
science.
it. Yeah.
Water, hydration, carbohydrates, brain
Water's
power.
better when you just like shove it all over your face, right? Just like let it drip, and you look like an actual athlete. You know,
Just pouring it over his face
Right.
after he wins the game. Oh, so hot, so much work done.
Popping the champagne at the end of that trophy there.
So Forson's going to come down. It does hit the Warsong commanders, an untypical, which is one of the whirlwind effects.
Kolento's all in.
Yep, he's going for it.
Give me that frothing, he says, because that's what I need right now. And Stancifka's just going to say, yeah, I don't really care.
So he has Molten Giant now available to him.
He
with a Sun
could go for
Fury.
Void Caller and the Sun Fury, because that brings out Mal'Ganis by force.
But there's another Void Caller in hand, so
exactly.
it is a
could
risk
be
play.
50-50, exactly.
Or you could go for Drake if you just want to sprout a Giant just yet. But Giant's looking pretty tasty, another 8-8. He didn't have an answer this turn. What's the chances he's going to draw an answer next turn? I mean, he's going to need card draw to find have multiple chances to get answers. He didn't have any card draw then, so he could just whiff and then.
Maybe he's already got lethal. Maybe that's what it is. No, it's very unlikely that Stancifka looks at it that way. I don't think he assumes he's dead just yet.
Shields up.
Oh man, now he's got no more Taunt Giver, right? So that second Void Caller, right? And the assumption that, you know, Kolento has the execute here, assuming he did, it would kill the Giant, then he kills the Void Caller. The other Void Caller comes out, you're done. Like, if there's a Frothing, Warsong, execute with a Whirlwind.
Just kind of a high risk, high reward play, because if he gets
Yeah.
Mal'Ganis, it might just lock Kolento out because he's just whiffing on his draws at the moment. But if Kolento finds another Void Caller with no more Taunt Givers, he might just have what he needs if he finds just a Frothing to push through and win the game.
Very tricky spot. Kolento might have to just go for Warsong Commander Unstable Ghoul to finish off the Giant there, and then kill the Void Caller with his weapon. Or maybe just let it slam, like let the 2-2 slam itself into the Warsong. Use the Death Bite as a Whirlwind effect. It's the only one you've got anymore, and you're still looking to get the second Frothing to power through. That's the only way I think that Kolento could win, is if he
Unless
plays
he
it a
does
bit
nothing.
slower.
He does nothing. He's playing the patient game here.
I mean,
Argus.
Warsong Commander is an extra minion, right? When you play the AoE with Frothing. So you go Warsong, Ghoul, Frothing, and then Inner Rage, Whirlwind effect from the Ghoul, and the weapon. Frothing is the saving grace of Kolento here.
So if you want to be super greedy here, and I think I quite like it, play Molten Giant with Argus on Molten Giant and Sun Fury Protector, and then you just have the Great Wall of Taunt.
I love that actually. I mean, I guess there was an argument to be made for playing it defensively, like slower that is, but I don't think so. I mean, you're setting up lethal next turn. If Kolento couldn't kill you then, there's no way he's killing you now.
Oh, Acolyte Pain is not going to be... He's going to need to find 2 executes, really, to deal with these Giants and stay alive.
That's it. And they're like, he's only got, you know, the Warsong, Unstable, Acolyte. He's got 2 Whirlwind effects, granted, but that's 2 executes back-to-back that he absolutely needs to get. And with one of the Warsongs out, one of the Ghouls out, a lot of the threats on the board from Stancifka, how exactly are you supposed to continue on with aggression after that? You might live, but you still can't win.
Another thing to consider as well is if he does go for the Unstable Ghoul as well, he'll have 2 mana left, so he'll only be able to play the 2 executes if he finds them,
Right.
and nothing else, that's it. And then Stancifka can go, you know what, I can do what I want now, I feel safe, I still have Mal'Ganis to come down, Forson, Dark Bomb, a lot going on. No Mission Venter, that's not an execute. Still needs to find, he needs to find 2 executes
The
here,
Ghoul could
ideally.
do it. You play the Ghoul here,
Clear
or
the one
Inner
Giant.
Rage even. The Ghoul lets you attack into the 8-2, then you need only 1 execute to deal with the second Giant. You've got 2 chances to get it. That's not it just yet. He could still get it. It's not over. It's close to it, but it's not.
Oh,
He gets it!
executes!
All right, Kolento finds an answer after all is said and done. He's still not winning this game, though. Stancifka's got the aggression. He's got 5 damage on board, another 6 from Dark Bomb Hellfire, so he's actually 2 off lethal.
He can Mortal Coil this guy here and see if he can find another
Actually,
Dark Bomb.
Wait, you actually just play your second Void Caller, you attack face with everything, you Mortal Coil. Oh no, you Mortal Coil. Oh, you can't do that.
If you had another demon on board, you can buff it.
That would be so good. Yeah, he's actually missing the demon. That would have to have charge. That's so close, but not quite.
Let's be honest though, if he plays Void Caller and then he either runs it in or Mortal Coils or whatever he wants to and brings Mal'Ganis down, what can Kolento do?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I don't foresee a world in which this Void Caller number 2 is not what seals the game, but Kolento could find something. I'm not. A second execute is going to be mandatory. If anything happens here, it's going to be.
So no matter what happens, because there's no silence in the Patron deck, Mal'Ganis is going to come out. And he's going to have an answer to that before he can even consider finishing off Stancifka.
Kolento has to get Nowish Inventor into execute, inner rage the Void Caller, and then execute the Mal'Ganis with a second inner rage, leaving him out of a lot of burst that he would have needed to actually go face. So.
And that's why he needs both executes, because he needs to be able to deal with the Mal'Ganis. He only needed one the last turn, but getting both of them would have put him in a much sweeter spot, whereas he's lining up to lose here, 3-0 to Stancifka. What's he going to do?
Again, like this is the second time in a row that he will have lost 3-0 to Stancifka, once in the tiebreaker and once in this series. I'm actually mind blown at the effectiveness of those decks from Stancifka that some people in the event have said that they weren't prepared well enough to deal with the metagame at hand.
But they've lined up perfectly against Kolento, getting these really good scores against him, but against other players, you know, he's had a bit of problems. He struggled a little bit. Dog was a lot better. Oh, Battle Rage here. Can he get the execute? Doesn't find it, and Kolento chooses death. 3-0 again. Repeat of last night. Stancifka's going to be going on in the losers bracket to face either Orange or Ties, and Kolento's tournament life is over. 4th place.
Goodbye, Kolento. You have been a valiant knight, but you will not stay with us. That's got to feel a little rough, you know, losing on your home, your home soil.
With the fans behind you as well. They gave him a round of applause, you know, for his performance.
All right, some words maybe from Stancifka here.
Shake of the hands. Let's see what Stancifka has to say about this series.
Thank you. Congratulations again. And yesterday you had a very long day. You played tie breaks. Does this impact on your game today?
Well, we are professional players, so we kind of used to play a lot of games per day. So I got a well rest, so I'm pretty ready to be today, like to compete like even longer if it's necessary.
Okay, and did you expect to be in the loser bracket?
Well, my matchup against Orange wasn't that great, and he drew very well in his game, so there wasn't much I could do about it. So he just played very strongly, and I was kind of like, you know, I had to adapt to be in loser bracket, and this is why like loser go home. So I had to really focus in this game, but I put my best effort into it. I'm pretty happy that I made it through.
Congratulations again, and good luck in your future matches. And now we go back to our casters.
So one thing to say too is that Stancifka lost every single match that he played against the 3 players right now left in the finals. You know, Orange, Tice, and Kolento. He lost to in the first, before the tiebreaker happened. He lost to all of them, and his lineup against Orange, as he said, is going to be a little rough. Maybe he's hoping that Orange can knock out Tice, and then Tice is moved down. But either way, he's going to have to face off against both of them.
I mean, he lined up a lot better against Ties because he went 3-2 against them, whereas Orange, it was a bit more of a struggle. Yeah. So, Stancifka's exercised his demons from the round robin. He's taken out Kolento. Now he has the opportunity to get Orange or Ties, whoever fall into the lower bracket. But we need to have that game first before we decide who he will be facing.
Yeah, so we'll be taking a short break before we move on for that. Stancifka's got a long road ahead of him. 2 players he's going to have to face off against that have already beat him in the past. We'll see how that goes. After the break, don't go anywhere.
So I was playing Street Fighter competitively for a few years, and I was looking for something else to play, and I found Hearthstone. I saw the beta and I got involved in that, and I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic in my youth. So it just kind of fit really naturally for me playing a card game because I played it when I was younger. In the UK, I did pretty well in one of our big lands, but outside of the UK, not so well known, I guess. I started doing video content, so casting became something a bit natural to me, and I really enjoyed it. And I got given some good opportunities by players I know and organisers, and that kind of led me to where I am today. In ranked games, I only have about 5,000 played. I usually get Legend, but sometimes I can be a little bit lazy and I get distracted by other games. But Arena, I'm not a big Arena player. I wasn't a big fan of Draft in Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Sealed. I like Constructed. I like being able to make my own decks. I like to be able to predict a meta game and be able to play around that. Playing at home's fine. I mean, it's comfortable, right? But going back to Street Fighter, we never had online games. We had to play with people, so I had to travel a lot when I was playing Street Fighter. So I got very involved in the communities, and I like that sense of community within the Hearthstone scene when I go to these LANs or I go to these events to cast, because I get to meet players, I get to hang out, and that was really important part of my gaming experience growing up. So it's nice that transition has happened with Hearthstone, where I wouldn't like the game as much if I sat in my room all the time just playing on my own on Skype. I like to interact with other people. The Hearthstone community is awesome. Everyone's super friendly, everyone's really humble as well. Even though they're competitive, there's no kind of aggression, which I've seen in other games from watching videos and watching the scenes. Very much like the Street Fighter scene and the fighting game community. It feels like a family, and they're very similar, so I think that's why it's very easy for me to be involved in the Hearthstone scene, because of that similarity and that experience I've had in the past. I kind of just played Hearthstone just for fun, really, and then I kind of liked it enough to think, you know what, I'll give this a go competitively. And then I stopped practicing Street Fighter, I started playing Hearthstone more, and then I went on to become a competitive player. I got signed by a team, and then I was doing a lot of casting stuff as well, so I had to make a choice at one point, casting or competitive, and I took the casting route instead. I don't know, it's nice to, I guess I talk a lot in general, so I guess I'm in my element, I guess. So I like to talk about the game, I like to pick the players' brains. I'm very interested in psychology when it comes to players, especially in sports and esports, because even though what we see just players playing cards, there's a lot going in their minds. You know, what are they thinking about? What are they afraid of? Does the RNG affect them? I'm really interested in that sort of stuff. Nox is such a good guy. He's such a friendly, upbeat person. He jokes around. I think we bounce off each other really well, and I've got to hang out with him outside of casting as well. And I've really enjoyed my experience. I mean, there's no casters I've ever cast with which I thought, you know, I don't like this guy. I mean, I like everyone I cast with, but I think with Nox, he's one of the guys I can have a bit of chemistry with. Casting with another caster, you can kind of, because you both know what you're doing, you both know your kind of goal when you're casting, you can kind of just bounce off each other, you can lean on each other, and you can kind of, you can rely on each other to pick each other up if you make a mistake. If I make a bad call, Nox should say, oh, stop being stupid, Aqua, you know, this is the right call. I'm like, oh, okay. But with a pro player, some of them don't have the casting experience, so what I like to do is play kind of the host. I'll ask them a lot of questions, because a pro player has a lot of analytical knowledge, so I'll like to tap into that rather than forcing them to kind of make kind of the host's call, so they can just be in the comfort zone and they can just talk about the game, which is what they want to do anyway. I don't know, my favourite players have kind of changed over the years. I was a big fan of Tides of Time and Amaz when I started watching and playing Hearthstone. But I guess the people I'm kind of closest to, so Sottle, Raven, both UK players, really like Nimch as well. You know, we've become good friends. But he's more of a caster now, and even Sottle and Raven are more casters, so I don't know, maybe the casters are my favourite players. The most unpredictable thing, I think, was some of the RNG we had, like Dread Scale from Dog, being able to lock Kolento out of the game. I mean, Kolento was so far ahead in that game as the Face Hunter, that Dread Scale, just like, and the metagame as well. The metagame it's created its own metagame within StarLadder, because we have a ban system in Conquest, which is the first time I've ever seen that. And with Patron, you know, kind of cycling out now, players wanting to try new things coming up to BlizzCon, especially Tice, it was interesting to see how the players adapted to not only a new format, but something that's going to happen in the future with the Patron nerf. I think Patron's still going to be around. I think it's just going to be a more mid-range deck. Surrender from Korea hit rank 5 Legend recently with a Patron deck without Frovins and War Songs, even before the nerf. So he's already proved that Patron can still work without the nerf. So I think people are upset about it, but it's a bit of an exaggeration. I think you can adapt to it. But we'll probably see a lot of Paladin. Zoo will definitely come back, because now Patron's out the way, Zoo can pick up strength. The Warlock class always adapts to the metagame, I find. Handlock, Zoo, Mally Lock, they kind of, yeah, like I said, just adapt to it. But other than that, I think Druid will probably fall off, Handlock will probably fall off as well. I mean, Druid fell off for a while, and then Patron came along, then Druid came back, and Handlock came back because it was like a sort of a counter to the Patron. But when we have really aggressive decks, it can be really hard for Handlock to stabilize. And Stancifka really struggled in this tournament against Dog and Tice with their Paladins because he just didn't have his taunts. He didn't find enough cards. He had to play really reactively, and he couldn't stabilize. And that just shows how weak Handlock can be in an aggressive meta. Anyone can win this tournament. All the players, such high skill level, they're so passionate and they're so hardworking. But if you're going to give it on results based, Tice is definitely the favorite because he's kind of on a win streak right now. He's a top Gosu rank player. He's the European champion as well. But Kolento, he's on his home turf. You know, he's also a very established player. Got a lot of wins under his belt. Stancifka has a lot, you know, he wants to find that win. Orange wants to get back into the competitive scene, being top. So every player has a motivation and a drive to get there. But if I was going to say someone, it'd probably be Tice. Hearthstone to me is a career, I guess. But it's also a community and it's a family and it's something I care about. I'm someone who wants to care about something in my life. I used to be a writer, I used to care about that. I haven't moved on to Hearthstone. So unless I have a passion for something, I feel really kind of deflated. I don't feel like I have any meaning. So Hearthstone, for me, gives me a sense of purpose. I guess that's the best way to put it.